The meaning of the Oriental classic, 工人之恶，无太言，要仔细看守, which has been passed down for thousands of years, is when pointing out someone's mistakes, don't be too harsh, but first think about whether that person can handle it. To them. Hello, everyone. The topic we're going to discuss today is very realistic, and it's a story that many people can relate to. When my wife repeatedly makes the same mistake, how can I persuade her effectively without hurting her feelings? This question is not simply how to point out mistakes, but a deeper question of how to lead to lasting behavioral change. The classic says, 工人之恶，无太言，要仔细看守. In other words, when pointing out someone's mistake, don't be too harsh, but first think about whether that person can handle it. It means, if you want this kind of relationship wisdom and classic insight, please subscribe and like so that we can continue with a more in-depth story. If we reinterpret this based on today's psychology, education, and environmental factors, we can approach this problem in different ways. First, there is the pedagogical approach. In education, the process of understanding behavior, providing feedback, repeatedly teaching is important. In other words, let's think together about why this is wrong and how can we do it differently next time. We stimulate the other person's autonomous thinking through this kind of conversation. The second is the psychological approach. In psychology, it is key to understand the inner psychological structure, such as emotions, motivation, self-esteem, and defense mechanisms. That's why it is more effective to empathize, motivate, and encourage them to make their own choices. The last is the environmental approach. Here we examine whether the surrounding environment, habits, or lifestyle patterns are causing the behavior to repeat. And by adjusting the environmental factors that cause the problem behavior, it is a strategy to naturally lead to behavior change. In the end, the important thing is, when we want a loved one to change, we should not simply point out the problem, but speak in a way that the person can accept and change the environment together. What is the most appropriate approach? The most effective approach is a combination of psychology and education. Because if you simply teach them, their defense mechanism can work. And if you empathize them, it can repeat without change. That's why we need a structure that protects their emotions, while making them feel the need for change. We need to utilize psychology and education. We need to do it step by step. First, we need to secure emotional safety. Psychological approach. Start with empathy, not blame. That can happen. I've been through that too. This does not mean no problem, but the key to lowering emotional defenses. Second, we need to analyze the problem behavior together. Pedagogical approach. Why does this keep happening? Talk in a collaborative manner. Approach with an attitude of exploration or investigation, rather than pointing out. Third, we need to induce small changes. Environmental approach. For example, if you don't organize well, let's put a small basket in this space. Establish a device to change behavior patterns through environmental conditions that are easy to change. Fourth, we need to provide reinforcing feedback. If there is even a small change, we need to provide positive feedback immediately. This is different these days. Thank you. Mistakes to avoid are as follows. Why are you doing that again? Repeated criticism reinforces psychological resistance. I'll fix it all deprives autonomy and self-initiative. Just do it like that imperatives cause passive resistance. Put it all together. True influence comes when we combine emotional empathy so they feel safe, educational feedback so they reflect, structural changes so success feels natural. Avoid common mistakes like, why do you always do this? Increases defensiveness. I'll fix it for you, removes autonomy. Just do it this way, triggers resistance. Summary. Real persuasion doesn't start with logic, it starts with emotion. If you want your partner to change, create a space where they feel safe, understood, and empowered to change on their own. Blending psychology, education, and environmental tweaks isn't just smart, it's love in action. If this helped you see relationships in a new light, hit Subscribe, tap like, and check out the full video for deeper insight. For more content like this, search for Chaegeundam 3 on the internet. You'll find series videos and deeper insights in the full episode. See you there, or See you in the forecast.